Pancha, wapastam kaso. So over the past little while, we've been preparing for our feast and our fire offering, and there's still a few more things that we need to do. One of the things that has become part of our traditions was, of course, making Bannock to go with our traditional feasts and those kinds of celebrations. And although Bannock is not native to Indigenous people in Canada, uh, it has become something traditional because Bannock originally came with first contact, originated in Scotland, Ireland, and upon first contact, it came with the colonizers, and it's become it was something that was really picked up by the Indigenous peoples here in Canada and across nations because it's very simple to make and the ingredients were not hard to get. And of course, it didn't cost a lot of money to make. And early on, and even into recent years, a lot of our Indigenous communities uh, just due to colonizations and a number of other factors, residential school and such, uh, had problems with securing like more expensive ingredients like uh, yeast was not readily available. So there had to be another substitute that came uh, after first contact, especially in the early years. But since then, Bannock has become a really important part of the culture and it was sort of adopted in. And it's something we regularly make during our feasts and our ceremonies and our gatherings. And it's something really popular, both the baked Bannock as well as fried Bannock, very popular. So I'm going to be preparing really quickly a quick, simple Bannock today, and I'll just walk you through those steps. So there's a few things I need. Of course, my baking powder, my shortening or my cooking oil, flour, bowl, a spoon, and of course a pan for baking the Bannock. So since we're making baked Bannock, we do need the shortening or cooking oil. If I was frying it, I wouldn't need the cooking oil because it's being fried in oil. But since we're baking it, we need the cooking oil. It adds flakiness and tenderness to the Bannock when it is being baked. So I'm going to use my cup, and this is a two cup measuring cup. And when I was brought up making Bannock, there was no precise measurements. It was all just estimated. But right now I've got 2 cups in there, 4 cups of flour, and I'll probably go with 6 cups of flour, just to make sure it's a big enough Bannock for my feast. So 6 cups of flour. If I've got 6 cups of flour, I want to go 1 tablespoon of baking powder per 2 cups. So if I've got 6 cups in there, of course I'm going to need, that's for 2 cups, that's for 4 cups, and that's for 6 cups. So I've got 3 tablespoons of my baking powder, and you can add more or less depending on how much you kind of want your Bannock to rise. So before I do anything else, I'm going to make sure that baking powder is mixed in there really well. Even though it'll mix while I'm once I pour the water in, I still want to make sure it's mixed with the flour really well, so there's no clumps in there or anything. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out the center, sort of make a little hole in there, little bowl in the flour. And just like the baking powder, I'm going to probably put about probably about 4 or 5 tablespoons of oil in there. Remember, the more oil you do put in there, the flakier it'll become, and it'll help. Just like when you're making like pie crust or something, the more oil you use in there, the flakier it gets, and the kind of a not so stiff or not so hardened bannock. So next I need my water. So for now I'm just going to get 2 cups of water. So I've got 2 cups of water, and I want to make sure it's cold water. You can use cold or warm water, but not really warm, and definitely not hot, or you will start to activate the baking powder. So cold water is best. So I put in the whole 2 cups, and I'm going to start stirring just gently from the sides, bringing in some of the flour and baking powder mixture. And I'm going to mix that in really well. As I'm turning, I'm also turning the bowl. And just, you'll see my hand this hand isn't moving. I'm just moving it in small circles while I turn the bowl with this hand. Just so I get a better mix on the flour and the water and the cooking oil together. And I could see it's already getting thicker and thicker. And I just want to keep doing that until it gets to a kind of dry, so I'm not seeing that water or oil. You can see there's still some water and oil on the outside. I want to keep sort of mixing until that starts to go away. Just slowly bringing in a bit of the flour and baking powder, dry mixtures in with my. So once I've got that, I'm just going to pull in the dough. Now I'm going to use my hands. I made sure I washed my hands really well. And I'm just going to start flipping it onto itself. Now I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it because I want to make sure my bannock is fluffy. If I really push down on it, then I'm going to get a kind of a not so fluffy bannock. And I'm just going to keep, as I'm turning it in on itself, you can see it's starting to get more and more adhesive to itself, and it's becoming more of a single big chunk of dough. So now I'm just turning just the dough. I'm not pulling in any flour with it. And again, the more you knead it, the harder your bannock will get. So you don't want to overdo it on the kneading. So now I've got it to where it's almost like if I were making pie crust or something. So now I'm going to flip it. I'm going to get this dried flour and mixture off the top, put it on my pan, and I'm just going to spread it out to fit my pan. Really quick and easy to make. I'm just going to flatten it evenly throughout my pan. Now I'm almost ready for the oven. Last thing I need to do is to help with the cooking and to help with it rising evenly and not getting all lumpy. I just make little holes in it with my spoon just to kind of open it up, and I'm going right to the bottom of the pan. Just kind of even it out so it cooks evenly throughout. So that's how quick and easy it is to make bannock, especially oven bannock. So now all I've got to do is I've been preheating my oven to 375. I'm going to put this in and let it cook and bake in the oven for about half an hour, 20 minutes. I'm just going to keep watching it until I get a nice golden brown on top. So I'm putting it in the oven now, and that'll be that for the next 20 minutes, half an hour. So that's how you quickly make oven baked bannock.